Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of McCall Media TV with myself, Angela McCall. In today's video, we're going to be doing a dive into ActiveCampaign. We're going to be learning how to set up an account on their trial period. Then we are going to create a mailing list, a form to put on our WordPress website. Then we are going to automate the delivery of our very first email that gets sent out as a matter of somebody subscribing to our mailing list. So it's all happening in today's video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually sign up for ActiveCampaign. Now, I'm going to dive over onto my left-hand screen because obviously in order to do this, I can't use my actual normal regular ActiveCampaign account for my business because I already have one. So what I have displayed on screen right now is my affiliate link. Okay, so if you use this link, I'll put the description or the URL in the description below for you. It does mean that I get a little bit of a kickback as a commission from ActiveCampaign as being proactive in promoting their services, but I am actually not sponsored by them for this video. I'm just literally doing this video out of passion and love and demand from my clients and prospective clients alike. So I'm going to copy my URL for my link there and I'm just going to paste it on over. And as you can see, their current offer is showing that there is 50% off for 2 months, which is pretty cool. Okay, so you need to just start off by putting in a email address. Okay, and I'm going to click on start my free trial. So obviously I'm putting a fictitious email address in there at the moment. There we go. It's going to ask who I am. Then it's going to ask for my number. Okay, so this is them sort of finding a little bit more about the type of businesses that are signing up. Oh, there you go. So you just need to fill in those details. So, and again, this is them finding out a little bit more about me. So I'm just going to click the first one to just skip on through these pages. Obviously, you can go through these in a bit more detail. And this is just asking what of these tools I use in my business. So I can just add that. So I am just going to create a new password. With a little bit of luck, it will now send us over to our brand new account, which it has done. And I can tell that because up here in the URL, it has used my surname and a serial number in order to create an account ID for me, which is pretty cool. So that's one way of checking. Now, obviously, you guys probably won't end up with 2 or 3 accounts, but that's just something I wanted to check personally because I didn't want to be using my business account. Now, when you first use ActiveCampaign, it's going to give you this one of 8 checklists to work your way through. I actually am not going to do that in this tutorial. You can see a link to it up here on the left hand side. This link will disappear in a moment when I get rid of this page, but every time you log back in, I believe it reappears until you have completed all 8 steps. So I'm going to complete them in a different order in order to succeed with today's task. So if I just hide my video title and show you at the bottom here, there is a way to basically remove that sort of get started screen, as it were. Okay, so what we've got already is one contact in our mailing list because obviously they've added myself, that fictitious email address that I've just created into this, and I can find that person right now by clicking on contacts. And when it loads, there you go, you can see the test email address that's existing. I'm just going to copy that in case I need to use it in just a moment. What we're going to do is we're going to look on down at the lists. Now, the list is a place that you are going to store your data in. Okay, now we are going to change the name and I'm going to show you for why in a moment, because if for any reason whilst we're subscribing people to our mailing list, things like double opt-in emails, or if they unsubscribe, it will actually say you have unsubscribed from this mailing list and it will tell you the name. And master contact list isn't particularly user friendly to our audience. Now, just one quick thing I'm going to add in here, and I'll probably throw up a screenshot of my own McCall Media lists, as it were, in my own proper account, because I have lots of different sort of arms to my business, as it were, and you might have a similar sort of thing going on in your business, and this is a way to sort of strategize and manage that concept. So I have things like my point and click puzzle games second YouTube channel. I'll throw a link below. I have my McCall Media TV. I have my daughter's own little website. My daughter's only 10 years old, but she is an artist, and so she wanted her own website and things, so we've got her a mailing list. I've got a mailing list for my Solopreneurs Club. Again, I will put a link below, but that's an online networking event that takes place weekly and all sorts of things. So that's at least 4 different lists I am managing. So my method and approach is to basically have one list per facet or arm of my business, and I suggest that that might be something that's worthwhile doing for yourselves. So for example, if you were an accountant, you might have one list for all of your clients that are sole traders, and you might have another list for all your clients that are limited businesses. I don't know, it's just a suggestion, but it's something that you need to think about on how you want to structure your Active Campaign database. Now, if we dive back on over, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the mailing list here. We're going to dive on into it just real quickly, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the fields that it contains, and we are also going to change the name as well. So I'm going to click on this downward arrow, click on edit. There's our master contact list, and I'm going to call this my dummy website list. Now obviously my business isn't called Dummy, but this is the website that we're going to be using. Is a fictitious website in order to connect things together. So for the moment the website is called Dummy Website because that's what I've called it, so this is what we're going with. The list URL for your website, dummy website, I think it is .mccall.media. Let me just double check. Dummy site, sorry, not dummy website. Okay, and then obviously this description is publicly shown when people are subscribing or unsubscribing. This is what they see. So this is going to be an e-newsletter registration form. Form, there you go. Okay, so we're going to click save. Right, so now we've got a more meaningful name to our mailing list. That is great. And we have obviously made sure that everything in the description for this is perfect. Manage fields. Now the reason I want to show you this, just purely because at the moment in this particular example, we're just going to put a straightforward e-newsletter sign up form. Okay, so as you can see, this is the fields now that exist for this form. One of the things to bear in mind here is that this page, Manage Fields, will show all of the fields across all of your mailing lists that are available to you. So it might be worth you grouping these into different areas. So like a minute ago, I explained to you that I have my Solopreneurs Club, my daughter's website, my McCall Media TV, my point and click. What I might do is if there's any fields specific to those businesses and operations, I might create them and then group them into subcategories here just to make this page a little bit more easier to manage and navigate through. But that's just really more of an admin thing. But essentially what I'm saying is if you are going to collect data from someone, you need to make sure that there is a place on this form, on this page rather, for that data to live. And this is essentially creating like a kind of a back-end database for that data to be stored. I'm just going to be using this first name field, which is nice and simple, and an email address. So keeping it really easy for us to collect registration details of visitors coming to our website. Now I'm going to click on the on site here. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got lots of different things we can do. We can create landing pages, we can create website forms, we can personalize lots of different components, and we can also monitor some site tracking, which is also available to us in one of these other tabs as well. Right now, the only thing we're going to be concerned with is the forms. Okay, so as you can see, I've got no form. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this button here called Create a Form. We're going to give the form a name, e-newsletter registration. Again, it's careful how you name it because this will be publicly displayed in things like double opt-in email confirmations that get sent out and that kind of thing. We're going to leave it as inline because I want to embed it in my WordPress website. I want the action to subscribe people, that's basically new visitors, prospects that are going to add themselves to my mailing list, to subscribe to a mailing list. Obviously, we've only got the one that's existing, but if I said like my other business, you've got 4 or 5 different arms to your business, they would all be listed here. And once you've done all of that, you can click on the Create button. As you can see the green bar going along the top, it's just going to load. And then what we've got now is the ability to customize a form. So what they're going to give us is a very default layout. And on the right hand side here, every time you click on something, it's going to give you the power to customize it the way that you want. So let me just pop myself up in the other corner. There we go. So Things like we can change the title, as you can see, we can change the description, and this is accepting HTML code. So if you're not familiar with HTML, make sure you go and brush up on that if you need to, style things a little bit better. It's going to ask us for our full name. Oh, let me click on that. So this is the default text. The email, which has got the asterisk because that's a mandatory field, and I always like to use the word address because I feel like it's half a sentence otherwise. So as you can see, I've added in that default text there and it's populated it over here. What we can also do is we can change things like the submit button. We could say subscribe. Once you've done all those kind of things, you can click anywhere on the screen that comes off of it. There you can see all the different things that you can do. You can drag and drop these fields over to the left hand side if you want to add other things. But again, I am literally just working with a very basic email newsletter registration form. The style button lets us do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So we could make the fields work in a line horizontally, which is perfect for things like putting in the footer of your website. Likewise, you can have it as a column on the sidebar of your website. You've got the background color, you've got things like the font you can change to Korean New, you've got the corners. So at the moment we've got these square corners, so let's make them 20 so they're quite exaggerated. You can see them nice and curly now. The form width is 500 pixels, which is fine. The button itself we could make maybe yellow. Let's find a yellowy color. I'm just randomly clicking on things. We could make the text then darker. There we go, and so on and so on. You can keep playing until your heart's content, and obviously you've got some ability to add in some of your own CSS there as well, your custom CSS. Now if you look down here, ACE Active Campaign branding is on. If I turn that off, click on options, this is when we start actually getting a little bit more into what happens once people actually click on and submit their details. So I'm just going to literally just change that background so you can see the colour a little bit more. Oh, that's bad. There we go. Let's just, I don't know, make it that so you can see all the different components. Right, options. So when someone has submitted, what do we want them to do? Now, in order to work you through this process a little bit better, you can leave them showing a thank you message, which is literally just going to be like, thanks for signing up. There you go. That's exactly, so that form will change and this box will appear in its place. Or you can show them a URL. Now, I have prepared, it's a very bland, but you can see here I've got a thank you page. So I'm just going to view that so I can grab the URL. And as you can see, this is like the bog standard 2020 theme template for WordPress. I've done nothing with it at all. I've just created it just so that I can show you how this works. So I'm just going to paste that in there, copy and paste, nice and easy. And then what we can do is when the form itself, what do we want it to do? So to subscribe to a mailing list, as you can see, the name of the list is showing, which is fine. And I'm going to click on this cog. Now this is your double opt-in. So this is stopping people, like nasty people, taking people's email addresses and subscribing them to hundreds of different websites around the world, and this person suddenly being inundated with all of these emails. To stop and protect that person, that member of the public, you can ask them to double confirm basically that they are wanting to receive your emails. Now this is turned on by default, which is good. So essentially what happens is here an email will now get sent to me, which I will demonstrate in just a bit, basically saying, do you definitely want to sign up to this website? And you get the answer, the ability to click on the confirm button and secure that whole process. Now if you wanted to, you can edit that opt-in email here. It's probably just going to send me out of this page for a moment. I'm not going to touch it at the moment on this day, but I just wanted to show you how to basically make this look more pretty. You could add an image by grabbing one from the right hand side here and putting your logo, changing the colors in exactly the same way that you click on an item and the ability to customize it appears on the right hand side as we did on the form, so you can do so with all the different display things. Now this isn't a website page, this is the body content of an email that will get sent to me to ask me to double opt in and double confirm that I want to join this mailing list. Now I'm going to leave that all as is, the default, because I just wanted to show you how you could edit that for yourself. Obviously you'd click done. I'm not going to change anything, I'm just going to return to the form so I can show you. Okay, so go over to the form options. That was that cog button there. And then you can also do things like add an action. So for example, say someone signs up to this through a e-newsletter. So e-newsletter form registrant. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm tagging them with the name of the form that they have used to sign up to my mailing list. So if I've got this form and then maybe I've got an order form for a product or a service on my website, and I also want to collect those people's details and add them to my mailing list, I might use the name of that form so I could see later on how people joined the mailing list. I also might want to add things like client, prospective client, that kind of stuff, so I can add that tag. And it might even ask me if I want to add another one. So add tag, and I'm going to say prospective client. Okay, everything is fine there. I'm now going to click on integrate, and this is where you can do 2 or 3 different things. Now you could copy the embed code, which is fine. You could link to the form page. You could also use the download plugin, which is what I'm going to show you how to do so now on your website. So I'm going to click on that button, and if you look up here in the corner of my site or my browser, you can see that the download has taken place. Now I did this morning when I was testing this process before filming. So you can see here that I've already downloaded it. It doesn't matter that there's another version in my downloads folder, but essentially we have downloaded the ActiveCampaign form in a zip file format. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to dive on over to our website. Going to go to plugins. As you can see, I have no plugins showing on the screen here. So we're going to click on add new. Now what I could do is search for ActiveCampaign if I hadn't downloaded it already. So let me just search to see. Now the chances are, as you can see, there are lots of different ActiveCampaigns. This one is by ActiveCampaign. There's lots of people that use the ActiveCampaign term, but they aren't actually by ActiveCampaign. There's not saying that there's anything wrong with these, but in order to make sure you're working with the correct one, I have downloaded it, and that's why we use this process that I'm showing you now. So all I'm going to do is upload the zip file itself. I'm not unzipping it. That's important to know. Now this will take a wee second, and then once it's unzipped, we're going to activate. And once we've activated it, we need to do one more thing. What we need to do now is basically connect. So we've got the plugin working on our website, and we've got the account in ActiveCampaign, and what we need to do is just tell the two to work together. And so this is the last step that we need to do. So if we go back over here and go to settings, down in the left hand corner there we've got ActiveCampaign. Now I was playing earlier on this morning, and so the URL and the key for this particular account, dummy account, is showing on screen here. If you hadn't got this, basically should be empty, and in order to find it, what you need to do is if you go into your ActiveCampaign account, so I'm just going to save and exit from this position right now, we'll come back to it in a moment. Down, if I just remove my video title, down in the left hand corner here we've got settings, and then we can click on developer. This is where we would literally copy and then paste into here those details. Okay, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to copy my key. This key is a bit like a password, and I'm going to update those settings in this particular case, but you would be saving them for the first time. Once that is done, we can look down here and see what else is going on. There's an e-newsletter registration form that it's already identified exists, which is good. We don't really need to touch anything else for the moment. We can just click on update, and as you can see, there's a little demo down the bottom of the form that we're going to be working with. Okay, and if you look right down in the very bottom corner, this is the shortcode that you could also copy and paste and place onto a website page as well. But we're going to use the plugin because that's what we've just installed it to make our lives easier. So if we go to pages, this is the newsletter page that we're going to put that form on. It's very simple to do. Once you open the page, click on the little block to add in a new content item. As you can see, ActiveCampaign Forms is already showing, but if not, you could select on Browse All and look for it. Once you've done that, because we've now connected our account to this website, what we should be able to do is find our newsletter form that we've created. There you go, you can see it populating. And this box here is just saying to us, do we want to use the CSS styling from our theme, or do we want to use those that we've created in ActiveCampaign? Now, this is a personal preference thing. Personally speaking, I would always use the CSS from settings. This means that it would pick up my themes CSS which I would prefer than ActiveCampaign, but you can play and do what you want. And as you can see, it does embed things the way that you've displayed it, and so on. What we're going to do now is we're going to update this page. And before we test this, we're going to do one more thing. So we now have our thank you page. In fact, let me just show you the content of that, literally just to give you an idea of what you can put on there. All I've literally done on this thank you page is say, please check your emails, and basically give them the instruction to go and check their spam for that double opt-in email, because we've got it activated. Obviously, I could also use this opportunity to say, subscribe to my Facebook page, go and join my Facebook group, go and find me on LinkedIn, or any of the other call to actions that you might want to do in order to cross-pollinate those people around your website. Okay, so that's the thank you page, that's fine. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create a very bog standard automated email that it gets sent now. So we've got the opt-in email that goes to my email account saying, please confirm you definitely want to be added to this mailing list, which I'm going to hit that green button that says confirm, and then that will send me back to the website. But what we want to have happen now that that user or that prospective client has hit the confirm button, we need to send them a little thank you very much for subscribing to our mailing list. Here's what to expect email, and that's what we're going to create now. So back over on our left hand side, let's go over to ActiveCampaign. What we're going to do now is we are going to look on the left hand side for automations. Okay, so when the page loads, we haven't got any automations yet set up. This builder and process will sort of teach you and explain you how to do this, and what drip feed series are, and all sorts of weird and wonderful things that you can do. But for the moment, we just want to get you up and running really quickly. They've got some predefined sort of templates that you can work from, but we're just going to go from scratch with a plain and simple outline that we are going to create now. So the trigger is when someone subscribes to a mailing list. So we're going to click on this, and in order to send this email, we need to make sure that they know which list that it's being sent to. We only need to thank you them once. We don't need to thank them every day. So we only need to run this once. And we don't at the moment need to segment this contact to do other different things like join other mailing lists or start up other automation campaigns we're creating. I'm going to click on the add start button there, and we're just going to send them an email. Now, as you saw there, if you've upgraded your account, there's possibilities of sending them SMS messages, emails, notifications to their phones, all sorts. So you do not have any emails to send because we haven't created it yet, so we can create an email. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, so this is e-newsletter thank you, and I'm going to call this number 1. So if I did for any reason want to say thank you very much today for joining my mailing list, and maybe do a little prompt tomorrow to say, oh, by the way, did you know we do XYZ, or have our Facebook groups, we could send maybe another email after 48 hours or something like that. So for now, I've just called this number 1 to make my life easier. Again, what happens here now is we've got to create a template for the actual email itself. And as you can see on screen, ActiveCampaign have been really helpful by creating lots of templates for us. We can customize ones of our own. So obviously there's none yet showing for us to use, but there's lots of things that you can do. Okay, so all you need to do is tweak and play. Essentially, there is nothing going to stop you from creating 2 or 3 of these, seeing which one you like, and then working with it. So I'm just going to, for the moment, just to be really bog standard, I'm going to start from scratch. Now I could do a standard email, a text only, or a custom HTML. I would suggest you go with the standard only, all right, because custom HTML means you need to be spot on with your HTML coding abilities, and it's always easier to convert something from a wizard environment to a coding environment than vice versa. So I'm going to click on standard. Your domain needs to be verified. Now because it's a brand new account, I haven't yet verified my email, so I'm just going to do that in order to get through this process. Let's call this email subject, thank you for subscribing to dummy website McCall Media. Okay. I am going to click on the continue button. The website should load into the next page, and there we go. So what it's giving me now is a very bog standard template. So as you can see, it's giving me a bog standard sort of starting from scratch, nothing there, just to give you a bit of an idea of what you can do. So the first thing you could do is switch this out for a logo of your own. So you could delete this. Are you sure? Yes. and then I could drag in an image and place it on here, and then it's going to say, well, what do you want to do with this image? And I am going to double click on it. That allows me to add a new image, and it creates a folder. Let me just grab one from my assets, and there we go. We can then do things like shrink the size of it over here. So let's just make this like 200. There you go. And if I click on make sure that chain link, it obviously defaults the height as well. So there's my business logo, a bit like letterheads. I can put things like hello, and then I would copy and duplicate. So I could put personalization in here. So I could put in their first name, or we could put in their full name, I should say. So let's just do that, because that's what the data we've collected in the field it's gone into. I could insert another text block underneath it. There we go. Click here to edit the text. So I could put welcome to my newsletter. Here is what to expect. And then I can go 1, 2, 3 different things I want to tell them. Thanks, Angela. So obviously this is really quick and nasty, but you guys get the idea of what you can do here. Okay. Once we're all happy and we're finished with everything, we can do a couple of other things. If we click on options, it will say, what do you want to do with this particular image? There you go. You can see how we can change things to it. But up here in the right hand corner, we can now customize some more of the settings for the email itself. So if you want to add pre-header text, you can. It's going to say from Angela. Now I normally put things like dummy website, or the name of my website, as it were. So when it arrives in my inbox, it's easier for me to identify, it's easier for my audience to identify. If they're going to reply to a different one, I mean, people do use those no replies. I don't like that. You've taken all that effort to get people's attention. Maybe you should send this to like I don't know, a ticketing system where you can monitor your inquiries, or as an assistant or something like that. Automatically generate a text version, you want to click that as on, which is fine, because if people have got HTML turned off in their email client systems, they want to be able to still read your email, so they'll get the text version, which is good. Enable mobile responsiveness, which basically means that the email will change its height and shape and dynamics in order to be able to be read on an email, which is fine. We can then test our campaign if we wanted to by sending an email and a test, but we're going to do the full works in just a moment. We can see we've passed the spam. We could do a preview of the email if we wanted to. That's what it's going to look like. Oh, you need to upgrade, which we obviously haven't got. That's fine. But once we're happy, we can click on the next button. Okay, so there's the subject line, pre-header, from, so it just shows who this is from now. So, and we would reply to the message name so that we can find it. Obviously, before we can send this, you'd need to actually add a physical mailing address, which I haven't done so yet. But we could monitor the reply tracking. We're going to click on OK. This is basically going to track if the email gets opened, who opens it, that kind of thing. We haven't set up Google Analytics, but that's other things that you can do. So when you're finished with all of that, we can click Save and Exit. And then what will happen is it should show us our automations page. Okay, so there's a couple of final steps that we need to do. One is up here. We could put this as a automation e-newsletter registration, so that we know what it is when we see it in a big old list. So that's handy. And then we can set it to active. Okay, so that's all good and dandy. Now, this is showing at the moment because I haven't put a physical business property office address in here. Obviously you guys will have to do that as well as part of your site configuration. You'll find that down in the settings in the bottom left hand corner, but we are in a position pretty much now to test this whole process. It's active. Okay, so we are pretty much done there at the moment inside Active Campaign. So what we need to do now is actually test this. So let's go to our website e-newsletter page. There we go. So here is our form. I'm going to put in Angela Marco and my test. I'm going to put my Gmail account in here so that I can just test this. I'm going to hit subscribe. There's my thank you. So we know the user experience at this point is now good. What we are telling us now that I have to go and check the double opt-in process, which is fine. So we're going to jump on over to my Gmail account. There we can see the email. So Angela wants you to confirm the subscription to the dummy website list, which is why you need to give the list a meaningful name. This is the double opt-in email that I showed you that we didn't customize, but you can obviously see now how it fits into the entire process. We're going to click on the confirm my subscription. It's just going to put up a little thank you for signing up. Again, you can actually customize that if you want to dive a little bit deeper, but we're going to come out of there. And then if we go to our mailing list now, we should see that this has updated. Now, one thing that I want you just to point out and check on is when we look at our lists, because we can see down here in the bottom, let me just wait for the page to load, we can see now that we have 2 active contacts, okay, because I have confirmed that double opt-in process. So let me just come out of here when it loads. So now we can see that we've got myself, because I put my name in, and obviously the test email for the account, that's fine. Okay, now both of these are active, which means they will be receiving the emails that are sent out to this list through campaigns that we make, and obviously the automation process, because they've just been triggered by that adding to mailing list trigger. But if you are looking and you can't see, if we come back over to here, because some people get a little bit confused with this, and this is why I want to put it out. If you look, first of all, ActiveCampaign hasn't updated. There's an easy fix for that. You log out of the account, log back in, and this will update to 2 contacts. You can actually see that the 2 contacts exist. That's fine. But obviously, when you've got hundreds and hundreds of people, that won't necessarily show, and you're not going to know who those people are necessarily as well are. Okay, so one of the things you're going to have to do whilst you are testing this whole process is basically add people, delete them, add them, delete them, confirm those double opt-ins, that kind of thing. So if you go to your contacts and view all contacts, you can actually dive into a particular person. Obviously, when you delete someone, you're deleting them for good. As you can see there, they are added to my dummy website list, which is great. And there you can see they've also received that prospective client tag that I wanted to give them, which is good. So all of these things here are working, and you can see there that the automation process they are in as well, which is again why you need to give things meaningful names. But for the moment, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this and click delete, because I want to show you what happens if I haven't opted in, or if I haven't confirmed my opt-in. So we're going to come back to the website. Let's just go back to the e-newsletter. We're going to refresh the entire page. There you go. So Angela, let me just call myself Tess this time so you can see it as a different person. And again, I'm going to put my Ange McCall, because now that the person has been removed the first time from our mailing list, I can use the same email address. I'm going to subscribe. It's telling me now that I need to go and double confirm my opt-in. Let's have a look and see what happens if I haven't done that, or I don't continue to do so. So if we come over to our ActiveCampaign account and we refresh, now you can see that there's 2 contacts, which is all good. Okay, and you can see that I've added the second contact there. But when we go through to our list, it should only say 1 active contact. So let me just wait for that to happen. There we go, active contacts 1, even though we know that there are 2 people. So if you're feeling that little bit like, well, something's not right, this is what you need to do. Click on the list itself. Okay, now you're viewing the list and all the active emails that exist, which is fine. But if you look up here, we can change active to unconfirmed. Wait for the page to reload, and there you can see now I am an unconfirmed recipient of this mailing list, which is fine. So again, now that we've done that for the second time, then obviously complete that process just like we did a second ago. And when we come back over to here and now refresh this page, the unconfirmed status won't be anymore, because I should be active. There we go, we've got no unconfirmed statuses. So let's go to active, wait for the page to load, and there I am. So if you've lost somebody in your testing process, that's probably what's happened in order for you to figure this out. So there we go. So that's probably a bit more of a longer video than I would like to normally do, but as you can see, there is a lot to it. Don't forget, the only thing that I haven't done that you guys would need to do is obviously enter a regular physical address like your business office premises into this whole process. Otherwise, as you saw, that little red box, ActiveCampaign doesn't like it and they will tell you off, but that's fine. You can sort that out in another day. But there you go, that's everything that you need to be able to get this process up and running. And I just want to remind you, please do subscribe, stay notified, add your comments. If you've got any other input, anything else like that you want to add, put them in the comments below. I do dive in regularly and I'll be happy to answer them.